Hello and welcome back. If you saw my last video where I sewed my very first beautiful dress back here on my mannequin, you would know that I have a passion for sewing, but I lack some of the technical skills because I'm a little bit new to it. So in order to bridge the gap between my ideas and creating the actual garments, I am going to be giving myself a sewing boot camp. Here I have this incredible book, Sew Your Own Wardrobe. So I've read this book a few times over, and it's a really great reference for sewing, but the photos and the examples used are sort of hard to understand unless you actually do them. I will be making every single garment in this book within the next few weeks. So today we are going to be working on skirts. There are 3 variations of skirts in this book, and I'm going to be making them all today. My hope is that when I finish making every single garment from this book, I will kind of have a better instinct and understanding about all of the nuances of sewing and the different techniques needed for kind of basic garment making. The patterns I will be doing are the classic A-line dress, the classic tailored skirt, and the classic flared skirt. I went to the fabric store and I picked out 3 fabrics that I thought kind of went together and had the same vibe. So here they are. Oops, there's like a brown, an orange wool, and then a cheetah cotton. So I'm going to do the classic A-line skirt in this brown sort of, what is this? I think it's definitely not linen, but something similar. Anyways, I'm going to do my classic tailored skirt in this kind of herringbone wool. That's orange, which is also not something I typically wear, but I'm excited to have it in my wardrobe. And then my flared dress, or my flared skirt, excuse me, is going to be this cheetah print, which is, I don't think I've ever worn anything cheetah print. I just finished cutting out all of my fabric now because to me that's the most annoying part. So let's get sewing in this first week of my finishing the entire Sew Your Own Wardrobe book series. So this week is the skirts. You can sew with me. You can get the book, sew with me. You can go online and get the patterns. And let's learn how to master garment making, okay? It is 2024. We have all the resources we need. If something's confusing, we can find a video. And there's no excuses to not do everything that you want to do in this life. Let's get started. At this point, I'm diving into sewing up my darts, which are sort of these triangle shapes that allow the skirt to fit the curves of the body. So I did that with my brown skirt, and I'm just going to do the same thing with my orange as well as my cheetah skirt. Once that is all done, I'm just going through with my serger and I'm cleaning up the sides on every single one of my skirts that I am making. And I'm just kind of leaving this nice, clean, serged look so the fabric doesn't fray and so that they can be easily stitched and pressed together later, which I will show. So there's one side on my brown skirt, and I'm just going to do the same thing with my other 2 skirts as well. Uh-oh, you guys, my serger just ripped my fabric, so I need to go through and I mean, I was really conservative with how much I was taking off in the first place on this edge, so I'm going to go through and take off a little bit more and try not to do that again. Ugh. So now I'm diligently reading up on my zippers because this is where a little bit of the drama happened. So I only have one zipper that's the proper size and they're all the wrong color. This is a big fat warning. So I'm just reading because the brown skirt does have a different zip up and button situation than the other two. So I've never done this sort of zipper before and I'm just having to do my research here. Just pinning it in place. And even before I start sewing, I actually baste it. Excuse me, going back and forth to Love Island here. Just could not miss the drama, but you'll see in a minute I go in with some string and a needle and I have to actually baste, which is like lightly sew the zipper in there before I go in with my sewing machine. And not really sure why, just following instructions. So the zipper for my orange skirt is a little bit different. It's an invisible zipper on the back. And my zipper was too long, so I actually took scissors and cut it. Don't recommend doing that, but I had to do what I had to do. And here I am just pinning it in place. It is a little bit different for an invisible zipper, and I didn't do it perfect, so don't look too close. But, you know, for my first time, it'll do. Here's my sweetheart, most comforting, loving part of this entire process, which is my favorite special part, pressing the seams. If you love satisfying, this is the most satisfying thing ever. So I'm going in with my iron and I'm pressing in each of the seams, just flattening them out, and it's so peaceful and relaxing. And I'm doing the same for my darts. I'm just pushing them towards the center of my skirt and pressing them. And I'm just going to do the same thing to my other skirts, and you guys, this is just the most gratifying thing in the world. I can't explain it. Enjoy. Now I'm going in and attaching the waistband on each of my skirts, and I'm just attaching it with my machine on one side, on the wrong sides, and then I'm going to take some scissors and get in there and reduce the bulk. And I have to hand sew, once I get the initial sew on there, I have to get in there with my hands and hand sew the bands into the rest of the skirt. There we go. Okay, you guys, I'm here with my buttons and I'm trying to figure out how to do the buttonhole stitch. I have let me show you. My little buttonhole foot. You see it? I've never successfully used this, so let's attempt. I'm scared. It's like 2 a.m, but I'll finish at least the brown one right now. So let's attempt. It's the next day and there's still no buttonhole. I needed a minute to go to sleep and rest up. So I'm going to try and finish these all right now. The buttonhole, let me just figure this out. I did everything exactly right in the instructions, and for some reason my sewing machine is not calibrating it. Sorry. It's just triggering me. But anyways, so I'll figure it out. I'm an idiot. I literally found the buttonhole issue. There's this lever that you need to pull down that says BH for buttonhole. And sewing machine doesn't know until you pull that lever down. So I'm finishing this at the same time that I finished all my other skirts in one sitting, you guys. Crazy. Fortunately, I spoke too soon about figuring out my buttonhole stitch. It worked perfectly fine on my test strip of fabric, but for some reason, the extra lining inside of my skirt and the layers, whatever, it just wasn't gliding easily. So I had to take matters into my own hands, and I undid the mess of stitches that my sewing machine left on my final product skirt, which was just so rude. And I switched out the foot of my sewing machine just to a regular foot, and I just did 2 lines and used scissors to cut in between them, you guys. It was nothing fancy. It actually looked horrible, but this is like a battle for another time, okay? We're just taking this out and moving on. And here I am, sadly sewing in my button, defeated. I have to do now is hem the bottom of all of them, which is super fun, right? So looking forward to hemming. I just don't like hand stitching, but gotta do it, right? So I'm gonna do that. Guys, it's time for the grand reveal. So before I show you what the skirts look like all finished, I have a few notes for next time. I'm going to make sure that I get zippers that match my fabric, and I've invested in spools of yarn that match the colors of my fabric, because those are my 2 obvious oopsies throughout the way, but I'm really happy with how they came out. Some of the stitching is a little questionable, but that's part of the learning process, right? That just means I'll do it better next time. So I'm really happy with how these came out. Please enjoy. Made it this far, make sure to subscribe so you can catch next week, which is the dresses, I believe. So make sure to subscribe to catch that hot mess.